All right, everybody. I am back once again with some football commentary for you. They say third time's a charm, and I think they're right. It's a honor and pleasure to have Larry come back for a third time to chalk some 49ers training camp. And without any further ado, let's get this bad boy started. Oh, hold on, people. We might have a couple technical difficulties. Can you hear me, Larry? Oh, I lost him, guys. Be patient with me. It's been that kind of evening. There we go.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right. So I figure we get into the daily news of training camp here with no really big serious injuries. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see anything up close, or are you just going by video? Or
Yeah, I have not. I'll go to camp on Saturday. I haven't gotten a chance to go today.
that's awesome. I live on the East Coast, man. I'm so out of the loop with anything. I mean, I follow everything on Twitter, of course, but the only training camp I got near me is the Bills, and I am not a Bills fan, so you will not see me there. um, I guess we should start with the. Let me see here. My question to you would be: How are you excited? How excited are you to have football and training camp back in general, and have something real to talk about instead of just kind of guessing for the last, I don't know, 2 months or so?
I get so into the draft and so into the free agent signings after the draft that it's hard for me to get to training camp. I want training camp to start in April or May. So to have to wait, it's usually the toughest time of the year, and this year was no different. I'm really eager to see this team on the field, and so it's been a rough couple of months to really, and this is the last couple of months is really the downtime of the NFL.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely regurgitated news, whether you're an actual, like, you know, reporter or a YouTube content creator. There's not a lot of real news to talk about. So you tend to regurgitate the same stuff, repackage it, and it's really the same news. I guess the big thing would be is were you surprised or not surprised that Trey Lance's contract got done right before camp? I wasn't. I pretty much knew that's how it was going to go. But some of my fellow content creators were a little bit worried that he might miss some part of camp. I myself didn't think that was going to happen. What was your opinion
Well,
on that whole
no, I had
situation?
no concerns at all. I knew that he was not going to hold out. No way. There's no reason to hold out. Niners have never had a rookie holdout, and he wasn't going to be the first. He understands who he is. He understands the position he plays, and there was no chance he was going to not be there on the first day. And also, I knew it wasn't going to happen weeks in advance because it doesn't. If you sign a guy 3 weeks in advance, he could get hurt between that point and camp, and you could be in a world of hurt. So a lot of times NFL teams like to wait until the day before they're going to go on the field before they actually take pen to paper.
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised because that just seems like how those things happen. So, um, it was just nice to see him. Whatever highlights I saw on the field today, him and Jimmy and everybody running around. I was a little surprised with the Javon Kinlaw issue with his knee. I don't know. What did you think of that? Because I felt that kind of like came out of nowhere. I know he had some off season surgery, but they were saying that they're kind of almost like kind of taking it easy with him, or kind of bringing him along slowly. I definitely didn't know about that, so I got definitely a vibe of here we go again. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I won't go there, but I think it's possible they're just being conservative with him early. But a knee problem for a guy like that is obviously is important. I mean, something that's not nothing, but it's worth monitoring. But I won't. I wouldn't overreact too quick. I mean, most teams, from what I heard, he had a great off season and he's primed for a big year. Um, we'll see. I mean, he played in the regular season. He played pretty consistently. He played well. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm just a little bit of a pessimist sometimes. So like, it feeds into my anxiety with the whole injury bug that they've had the last so many years. So anytime I hear or see anybody's name on the pup list, or when they say like, "Oh, we had this guy and he had a little bit of a setback," when I hear the word setback, I always get like, "Oh gosh," you know. But from what it looks like they're just being, it's just a precaution. So yeah, I'm not super worried myself either. Um, Another a big storyline coming into camp right before it got done was the talk of uh, Fred Warner's deal, and again there was some worry from my fellow YouTubers that like, oh geez, what's going to happen with that? Again, I wasn't extremely worried. I just felt like the Niners have done well by a lot of their drafted players that have turned out pretty decently. So I really wasn't really surprised. Again, what's your opinion on that situation? Were you of any questioning any of it, or were you pretty much in the mindset that they were going to get done right before camp?
No, I mean, there's no reason not to get it done. I mean, the one thing in the NFL, you have to take care of your best players. He's one of the best players. And so they had to take care of him. And I knew they would. And they did. And, there's nothing not to like about him. He's a good guy. He's productive. He's healthy. He's durable. So it was a smart move to get it done now. I don't think he would have taken the field without a new deal. But,
No.
Who cares? I mean, it's just like, yeah, so he probably would have held out if they didn't get it done, but they got it done. So he's the leader of the defense. He wears the green dot. He's as important as anybody on the team, almost outside of Bosa and maybe the quarterbacks.
I just want to say that a lot of people in my chat are saying hello to you. They're big fans of yours, so I just wanted to pass that along before they yell at me for not paying attention to the comments. Because I sometimes when I have certain guests on, like yourself, I tend to pay attention to you and like lock out of the chat. Like I don't pay attention to it. So I've been called out behind before. So
Listen to the fans. You always got to listen to the fans.
Right. I guess the talk of camp yesterday was of this whole thing that there is no competition. It's Jimmy's job, and it's not a competition between him and Trey Lance. Do you find that to be coach talk? Do you believe it, or is this I don't know what to believe? To be honest with you, I get thrown off.
You got to think about it. If you say, all right, it's an open competition. And it could be Jimmy, it could be Trey. You're just inviting the circus to town. You're just inviting this to be a daily topic. You're just inviting people to write about how it's a controversy. And It's not, Now, let's be totally honest about this. Training camp is a competition. It's a competition in the meetings. It's a competition on the field. And that is reality. So Kyle Shanahan can say whatever he wants, but it's a competition. Now, is Jimmy, I think it was a smart thing for him to say, because if you can't award rookies jobs, you must make them earn them. If you award rookies jobs, you lose the locker room. So he was never going to award Trey Lance the job. I don't care what Trey Lance did after he was drafted and before camp started. You're just not going to do that. So it was the smart play. It was the smart PR play. It was the smart play to build rapport in the locker room. And the players all know the story. They all know the situation. They didn't trade all those number ones to get Trey Lance if he wasn't the guy. He is the guy long term. But it doesn't mean he's the guy right now. And Jimmy with Jimmy, they went to the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of guys in that room that have a lot of good vibes about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think they played it right. Now, you basically say Jimmy's the guy, and then you make Trey Lance take the job away from him. And if he's the player that you think he is, and if Jimmy's got all the flaws that you probably think he has, then it probably will get passed from Jimmy to Trey at some point. But it may be in a day, it may be in a week, it may be week 2 of the preseason, it may be week 2 of the regular season, it may be year 2 of, maybe a year from now. So I thought Shanahan played it exactly perfect.
Larry, if you had to put your head coaching hat on, how would you go about the preseason as far as, because, we all know about the injuries over the last freaking 7 years, but mainly the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era. But how would, are you keeping starters out like the Rams did last year? Or are you, I know Trey's going to get some serious play time, I would assume, in the preseason, but guys like D Ford, guys like Nick Bosa, I don't see them touching the field in the preseason. What about you?
The more time goes on, my opinion of this changes. I mean, yes, they do need some reps, but there's nothing that's, criminal about being rusty in week 1. I'd rather have, it's like, here's the question. Name any player on the team. Would you rather have them be rusty in week 1 or hurt and not available to play week 1? You'd much rather have them be rusty. So you put the guys in the field that you think you need to evaluate, the guys that you've already evaluated and are going to be your core guys. I'd sit those guys out in mass, not just the first game, not just the last game, every game, because it's preseason football. You can lose you can lose your career in a preseason football game by getting hurt. Why risk it? There's only so many games in these guys' bodies. I think if I was the coach and it was my butt on the line and I was going to get canned if the team didn't have a good record, then I want to make sure that everybody's there in the regular season. And if I'm a little rusty in week 1 or week 2, then guess what? The Detroit Lions lucked out, because they got the scheduling advantage. They played me in week 1. But if I got a good enough football team to contend for a Super Bowl, and I think the 49ers do, I think a little rust in week 1 from a big portion of your roster, that's all right. That's an acceptable situation.
Wasn't it Tim Biakabatuka or whatever his last name was that got injured in the preseason with the year he was drafted and was pretty much never the same? I forget. The running back of the Cincinnati Bengals many years ago.
Oh, well, I remember Biakabatuka from Michigan. I don't remember who it was that got hurt in the preseason.
Oh, no, it was Kajana Carter.
Kajana Carter.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, not him. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, I screwed that one up royally. But yeah, I remember he got hurt in the preseason, I think, and then pretty much he never had the career that they envisioned for him. So, yeah, get Lance all the playing time he needs in the preseason. But as far as your core guys, like you said, you can figure out a lot in training camp. That's what I really believe, personally, as a fan. I feel like a lot can be.
There's also the other factor is people say, well, don't put Lance or Jimmy out there if they're going to put them behind a bad line or a second or third team line. You know what? Getting rid of the football because of a broken play or, a defender that's got a free run at the quarterback, that's part of football, is knowing when to get rid of the football. So I have no problem playing Jimmy or Trey behind the second line or the third line because they need to learn that you don't make, it's not a linear path. Sometimes, you have 3 good plays, you have 1 bad play, you have 1 disastrous play. Does your disastrous play ruin your season and ruin your week? It could, but it's your job as the quarterback to minimize the mistakes. When Tom Brady has a free runner at him, he doesn't sit there and hold the ball. He throws it away and goes to the next down. And that's something that has to be, Jimmy hasn't learned that. I mean, to be totally honest, that is one of Jimmy's weaknesses, is that he tries to make a play all the time. And people are, well, it's admirable. No, it's admirable once. After that, it's stupid. So, risk reward and get rid of the football, and that's going to be a big part for Trey and for Jimmy this year. This play blew up. Aaron Donald's in the backfield, throw it away.
Yep.
Throw it away.
Throw it at the ground. Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue
Don't let
too.
the negative play be end your season or impact your season because now you're going to miss a month. There's going to be negative plays. There's going to be free rushers, guys who guys are going to miss blocks. Offensive linemen are fallible. And so what do you do when that happens? They need to start focusing on that instead of trying to create a perfect situation for their quarterbacks in the preseason. That is just, it's not reality.
There was a little bit of a narrative going on there's other content creators that are out there, and one of them made a comment about he thinks that Jimmy is the most disrespected and undervalued player, and that it's unfair the criticism that he receives, and I completely disagree with that on a million levels. What do you take of people who think that Jimmy is takes unfair criticism when he has one healthy season since he's been in the league, and has had a giant contract put on him that he really hasn't lived up to? I don't believe that Jimmy has been unfairly treated. What's your take on that whole situation?
I mean, Jimmy doesn't think that Jimmy's been unfairly treated. The players don't think that he's been unfairly treated. The management doesn't think he's been unfairly treated. There's just some of these media people that are just so fanboy that they just can't get beyond what they actually are, and not, they don't realize they're playing a professional role. Getting hurt, availability is part of the gig. All right.
Yep.
You got to be available. The fact of the matter is he's played in about 55% of the games since he's been a Niner. Show me a job in America where you can show up 55% of the time and your boss isn't pissing you. If I show up to my job 55% of the time, my ass is gone. And yours is too, and so is everybody else's. So this whole it's unfair. He's been hurt. He's really, first of all, there's a couple of fallacies. One is that he's great, except he's just been hurt. No, that's not true. That's categorically false. He's not the worst. He's not the best, but he's not great. He's not an elite quarterback who's just been hurt. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, as they said.
That's a good one.
This is a guy who has the last couple of years that he has played has been pressured at one of the lowest rates of any quarterback in the league, and yet he's been sacked at one of the highest rates of any quarterback in the league. What does that tell you? It tells you and tells me and it tells anybody who knows football that he doesn't, when he gets pressure, he doesn't recognize where it's coming from. He doesn't react to it well. He doesn't throw it away, go to the next down. He doesn't handle pressure well. And the 49ers were, it wasn't just that he was hurt. Their quarterbacks were like 26th in total QBR across the board, and they had a ton of turnovers. So don't fall for that. That's just people trying to, whatever, suck up to Jimmy. Has there been a lot of attention on the quarterback? Yeah, it's the NFL. There's a lot of attention on the quarterback. We get nothing but close-ups of the head coach and the quarterback, and then people wonder why everybody's fascinating on the head coach and the quarterback. They're the central figures of the team. They're the face of the franchise. So is Jimmy the worst quarterback of all time? No. But he's not, Brady or Mahomes except for the injuries. So, somewhere in the middle there is the truth. I think he's probably, if you made me list him, I'd say he's probably like 16th or 18th in the league among quarterbacks. He's not a top 10 guy. He's not a top 15 guy, but he's not a bottom third of the league guy either. He's kind of in the middle.
I feel he's a functional starter who can make some plays, but me and my nephew are of the mindset of if the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl and somebody just ain't cutting the mustard, whether it's because of injuries or because of just they have limitations, and you have a chance to get better and you take that chance and you go for it, then unfortunately that's just how it goes. And like you said, like any job you're at, if you underperform at that job and you continually make mistakes and you cost the place money because of your poor performance, eventually any job you're at, you're going to get canned. And it should be the same in pro sports too, especially if you're making the amount of money, $27 million a year. To me, like once that Super Bowl ended the other year, me and my nephew looked at each other because we're, like I said, we're both very cynical 49er fans, and we were like, I just don't think he can. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Personally, as a fan, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're dumping on Jimmy already," and it's like, no, man, you just know when you watch people, you just know if someone has it or not. And I didn't think he did, and I prayed to God that we would get a chance to trade up into the third. I didn't literally pray to God, but I was hoping that we would trade up into the top of the draft. And when it actually came to fruition and it was Trey Lance, I can't say that I didn't do a little bit of a dance because I want to see what this team can do with a quarterback that has more like the tools, the different tools, of like the new age quarterback tools where you can make plays outside of structure and you can elongate plays to make things happen. So I'm excited, and yeah, I don't think he's unfairly treated. I feel like when you miss that much time and you're kind of somewhat like you say, craters in the pocket when pressure happens. That's the one thing that always really bothers me about him. That's just the business, man. It's a winner go home business, and he's proven he can be a winner, but there's a lot around him too, so you have to take that into consideration as well.
I don't really care anything about the money. The money is not, NFL quarterbacks make a lot of money. This just in. So to me, it's just about availability. He's missed 23 games out of 48 or whatever it is. It's like he's missed a lot of games, and when you miss a lot of games, and the Niners are 6-17 in those games. And that's why Shanahan, who's probably one of the 4 or 5 best coaches in football, has a sub 500 NFL record. It's because of the the injuries to Jimmy, and the quarterbacks who came in behind him weren't ready to roll. So now they have 2 legitimate quarterbacks. I think it'll be a positive impact on Jimmy. The presence of Lance will probably guarantee that we get to see the best out of Jimmy, and so be it. But this whole woe is Jimmy, you can save that.
I agree. What is your take? And I know people have different beliefs and different lines of thinking. You see I think there's 3 players on the COVID reserve list. What do you make of that? Like, I mean, without like coming off on one side or the other, because like I said, other people have beliefs, and some people believe in vaccination, and some people don't. What do you make of that? Because I'm of the mindset of if the league is mandating it, then do it.
I mean, this is not really a sports conversation. This is more like a, COVID-19 conversation. I was not in favor of getting the vaccine, right? Personally. Why? Because it's not FDA approved. It's an experimental thing. It's not really a vaccine. It's gene therapy. You've had 6,000 or 7,000 people who've actually died, so I was not in a rush to get this vaccine. I got COVID. My whole family did. For us, it wasn't that bad. I lived through it. So maybe that has colored my thought of it. Maybe if I had somebody very close to me that had died, I'd have a different thought. So I'm just trying to keep in mind that people have lost people that they love, and it's very, very serious. But for me personally, I didn't want to get the vaccine. I talked to my doctor. My doctor assured me that he thought that it was the best idea for me to get the vaccine. So I got it. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I got the vaccine and if you don't, you're an idiot. And I know plenty of people that take that stance. And I just think that that's really low IQ and stupid. We don't know. We're all taking a chance. You're taking a chance by not getting a vaccine. You're taking a chance by getting the vaccine. But this is what I chose to do. For me, I looked at the pros and cons and said it's safer to get the vaccine than not. I do understand the young athlete who's young and healthy and is looking at the mortality and looking at the death rate and going, this isn't going to kill me. And I don't want to take a vaccine that the FDA hasn't approved, and I don't want to take any chances with experimental vaccines that may negatively impact my health down the road. So I'm going to trust my, immune system to fight this, and that's good enough for me. But the NFL has made it so damn punitive as far as, $14,000 fines for any violation. You're going to forfeit a game. So now you have really two different aspects of this. If you're an NFL player, you have your own, decision to make about your own body and your own medical situation. And then what do you owe your teammates? And I don't know, to me, in a sport like football, where there's not very much time, and you're in close quarters, I kind of think you owe your teammates, that you're gonna do everything in your power to try to help them get through the season without this virus, ruining their chances to win a championship or forfeiting games and game checks and that kind of thing. So I think most guys should take it. I understand the ones who aren't taking it. I'm not going to lecture you and tell you that I did it right and you're wrong, right, and I'm right and you're wrong. That's not me. I don't do that. I don't do that. I wouldn't want to do that. It's like, I think I did the right thing for me. But if Cole Beasley thinks he's doing the right thing for him, then roll the dice and you got to live with it. But it's not just you, and I talked about this today a little bit on the show. It's we over me, and that's what football really is all about. It's about us. It's not about me. So what's best for me? Well, people do what's best for me all the time, but how many people do what's best for us? And in this situation, I think you almost have to think about that. Is this the right move for us? I'm part of a team. I think it's unfortunate that some coaches are going to lose their jobs over the vaccine. I don't feel particularly good about that at all, but
right.
I think basically everybody should just listen to they should consult, it's so politicized. The left didn't believe in the vaccine when the right was introducing it. And then the right's fighting back and they don't want to believe in the vaccine now that the left is empowered. And, it's become this political football. That's obvious. And it's like, you know what? That's unfortunate. But I think, the only thing I would say is everybody should talk to their doctor and figure out what is the best decision for them. And then these football players, in addition to have to ask what's best for them, I think also have to ask what's best for us as a team. And, other than that, I really don't have anything to say about it. I don't know. I don't know. As I said, I think the rules are a little draconian. I think they're a little strict, but the reality is that, the NFL is trying to do everything in their power to put a season on. And I understand that.
I have a super chat here, and he commented that Larry Krueger, he said, after watching you on First Takes, CG Ruthless Sports, and Beast Riders channel, I've become a big fan. He says, I really need to have you on my show. So you have another fan. You're definitely popular in my circle for sure. A lot of these guys really enjoy your content.
I'll say to them what I said to you. It's like, I really love the people who do what you do, and I'm a big advocate. To me, it takes a lot of ingenuity and a lot of initiative, and you're taking it, and so I respect the hell out of that. So, and I respect the hell out of anybody who, they love Niner football and they want to have a career surrounding the NFL, around Niner football, and they, I'll gladly fuel your dream by coming on your show and contributing whatever I can.
I appreciate that, and these guys do too. The last thing I'll say about the whole COVID thing is that my mother is a widow, and she lives in my house. And she's 66. So, and I work in public. So, I think everybody's situation is different. And I had to look at it from a situation of, I got to do what's best to protect her. And plus, I work in a very public, I work in the, the retail field. So You're right. Nobody should be forced to do anything, and but like my situation kind of called for it in a way. So, but I'm not here to chastise or look down upon anybody who makes a different decision. It's just weird that the league's kind of took in this stance that it did, and unfortunately, it's almost forcing people to kind of having to make a decision, even if they're against it morally or ethically or whatever.
Right. It's a tough situation. It's an unprecedented situation. Um, and hopefully we'll get through this at some point, you know?
Definitely. I wanted to ask you about the two kind of like big question marks that are going into camp. I mean, camp's only been 1 day, so there are definitely still questions. Number one, what's your take on the third wide receiver position? There's been talk that Mohamed Sanu's been looking really, really good, and the fact that we lost. I'm trying to think of his name right now.
Jawan
To the
Jennings.
COVID, yes, to the exempt list might be opening the door for a guy like Sanu. How you feel about the number 3 wide receiver spot?
You know, I like Austin Watkins, the rookie out of UAB. And I think Watkins is a guy to watch for. Um, and I like Jalen Hurd. You know, I think Jalen Hurd,
Me
if
too.
he gets healthy, I saw him running around out there today. Those are the two guys I like. I like Jennings a little bit too, but he ran in the 4.7s. That's awfully hard. That's awfully slow. So I think he's lighter and faster this year. But I mean, he's got a lot to make up there. Hurd is interesting to me, and definitely Austin Watkins. Watkins, played at UAB, and he's a blazer. He's fast. He's got the ability to run away, and I really like what I've seen from him at the college level. And I look for him to maybe make some noise for that third wide receiver.
Do you have any? Do you have any things that you're looking for when you go to camp on Saturday, or are you just kind of going with an open mind and just looking to enjoy yourself?
Well, I always look. I mean, I'm always looking to see who did the work in the off season, who's lean and mean, who's in incredible shape, who showed up ready to roll. Now, in the old days, it used to be where there'd be some guys who were really overweight. Um,
Yeah.
that doesn't really happen as much anymore. Now it's just a matter of how great of shape are you in. But yeah, it's guys can remake their bodies. Guys can reshape their bodies, and there's a couple guys that I'm going to be looking for in particular. One is Mike Mcglinchey. Mcglinchey showed up last year in camp, and he was like body beautiful. He looked he looked lean and mean, but you know what? Offensive linemen are not supposed to be lean and mean. He
Nope.
lost too much weight, and then what happened was he always had a hard time kicking out for speed rushers, but then he got bull rushed.
Yes.
Gennard Avery in the Eagles game just bull rushed him right into the quarterback.
Oh,
So he needs to put on, or he needed to from last year, to put on some weight and to not be so lean. You have a gut, have a have a. I mean, offensive linemen that are in great shape, like as far as they're lean, that means they're too light. You need to have some extra heft, and I'm looking for Mcglinchey to be a little bit beefier and a little bit less cut and ready to roll. Because he can't do much to improve his foot speed, but if he is underpowered and gets bull rushed, he doesn't have a career, in my
no.
opinion. So he's the guy that I'm going to be looking for quite a bit. And then guys, on the defensive side, who's ready to roll. I mean, Kevin Givens had a rough off season. He got in trouble with the law. Did that wake him up? Is he going to fire his best effort? I think Givens. There's some guys on that D line that have incredible talent, and he's one of them. So I'll be
Yeah, you
looking for
talked
him.
about
I'll be
that for
looking for
sure.
McGlinchey. I'm going to be looking for, the Niners also picked up 2 linebackers as undrafted free agents. Justin Hilliard, who played at Ohio State, and Elijah Sullivan, who played at K-State. And they're both really good football players, productive, fast, instinctive linebackers who can play from scrimmage. They're not just special teamers. And I'm eager to see what kind of physicality they have. Do they look like the kind of guy who could start right away, or are they just contributors? So and there'll be a couple guys at almost every position that I'll be on the lookout for to see exactly. And then also, I'm also looking for just, what stands out to me. Like, I don't want to be looking for it. It just stood out to me, and that also happens. I think I've referenced this to you before, but a good football scout will let his eyes tell his brain what you see. Don't let your brain tell your eyes what you saw, because you did so much reading and so much research and so much, because what happens is you start to see only what you wanted to see as opposed to what's actually out there. If you let your eyes tell the story, then you're going into it, I think, with a healthier approach, because as they say, the film doesn't lie. So what it is. So I like to watch, see who's shape, who's rolling up there, see if anybody catches my eye. And there's always a couple guys that I'm looking to see how they reshape their body.
The other position I think of question besides wide receiver was, the cornerback position is a position to me, that has a lot of question behind it, because if Jason Verrett goes down, you have a whole lot of unknown. What's your take on that situation? Did the Niners do enough to shore that up? Should they have, maybe addressed it sooner in the draft or in free agency? Like, I am definitely worried, especially if the pass rush takes a little bit of time to kind of re-solidify after having, Bosa and Ford miss some time last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be looking at Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas to see if those guys are, what are they? I mean, and it could be anything. I mean, it literally could be anything. I could go out there and I could say, man, look at these two guys. Those are your two best corners. They both should start. That would be like the greatest, right? That both the rookie corners look like starters, full-time starters. That would be that would be the greatest thing you could hope for. Then it's a matter of, well, I'm not expecting that, but, do they look like they can contribute right away? And then there's also no, this isn't going to work. So in corner, you can't have bad weight. There's no wasted steps. There's no wasted movement. You have to be in the best shape of your career. Those guys are going to play. You're in the nickel and dime, your fourth and fifth corner play. So those guys are going to have to play. So if they can't, if I look at them and I'm like, oh my God, neither of those guys is NFL, they're not going to make the roster, then I'm going to leave there going, I'm worried. But if I go there and I'm thinking, wow, both those guys could start week one, then I'm going to be really feeling good. And there's a big disparity there. So I don't expect them to be either of those, but I expect them to be good enough players where you can tell that they're NFL cover guys and that they are going to be able to play from the nickel or dime right away. And that's what I'm hoping to see. And if I don't see that, then it's a matter of, well, who are you going to get? Because they don't have a lot of bodies in camp that they can really lean on at that spot.
Right. Are you of the mindset of the Niners could always use another player in the edge rush game, maybe like a Justin Houston type player? Because I feel like that's a position where I feel like they can never have enough bodies, just because of the issues that they've had with both of their real top rushers having, injury problems. Would you go after a guy like a Justin Houston, or do you think he's damaged goods? Like, what's your take on that one?
Well, I mean, he's older now. He's been through a lot of the battles. I mean, the one thing in this defense, this wide nine, is that it's all meant for the outside guys to just line up as far wide as they can and just get up the field. So, I'm really eager to see what Samson Ebukam looks like in this defense. And is D Ford healthy? If D Ford's healthy, the 49ers are going to have one of the better pass rushes in pro football. If Samson Ebukam can rush off the edge like I think he can, then they're going to look pretty good. But you're right. I mean, especially with Jordan Willis out because of the suspension to start the year, the precarious health situation of D Ford, Bosa coming off an injury. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns there, but they're so loaded at tackle that I think, and you got Bosa on one end. If Bosa's healthy and they get the kind of play I think they're going to get in the interior, it's going to be a pretty easy job to be the opposite rusher. And so I'm expecting Ebukam to really fit like a glove in this defense.
What is I didn't know when the Niners signed him in the offseason. Arden Key, is he more of an interior defensive lineman or is he an outside
No,
guy?
he's an edge guy.
He's an edge
And
guy?
he just hasn't
Okay.
gotten it done. He was a high recruit at LSU, and going into his final year at LSU, he was a preseason All-American, and he's just kind of coasted. That's what I see. I see a guy who's coasting, and I see a guy who's not always mentally dialed in. If the Niners defensive line coaches can get the most out of Arden Key, they're going to have something because he's got a lot of talent. A lot of talent.
I wanted to touch on the unfortunate passing of Greg Knapp. Something that, as a Niners fan who's been a Niners fan as long as I have, I was definitely shocked of what happened. That was definitely a sad and unfortunate passing. And do you have any personal experience with him? Did you ever meet him or have any dealings with him in your career in the past?
I did actually. I went to Sac State, and he went to Sac State, and
Wow.
there, and he he went from running back coach to wide coach, and he was starting to climb the ranks. And this is before he ever got his first NFL job. And the head coach for Sac State football is a good friend of mine, Bob Mattos, and he was one of Bob Mattos' very favorites because he was the star quarterback, from a few years prior. And I won't claim that I'm like best friends with Greg Knapp, but we knew a lot of the same people, and he was a really kind man. He was a really good football coach. He was a family guy with a wife and 3 daughters. And it's tragic, man. It's just so sad. I mean, you're riding a bike, you're 58 years old, you're riding a bike, trying to get your body in a little bit better shape to go to training camp. And you get hit by a car and you die. I mean,
It sucks.
It's so sad. And, Steve Young talked about it, and Jeff Garcia talked about it. And, just a senseless, terrible thing. But, my thoughts and prayers are totally with his family, his wife, his daughters. And, I feel like I lost a member of my family. He was part of the Sac State family. He was part of, my football family. My mentor, one of my mentors was Bob Mattos, and Bob was like a father to him in some ways. And, just very, very sad.
Definitely. I lost my dad at 59, and my dad had health issues, so it's one of those things where you kind of knew sometimes, eventually it would happen. But when it's a sudden thing like that from somebody who's that young and who's reasonably healthy, it's like a kick in the gut for sure. And you're right, keeping them in their thoughts and prayers, even if I'm a fan, it doesn't matter,
Absolutely.
man, because having young kids, it's definitely tough. In closing, I just wanted to ask you if there's, do you think that the Niners have turned the corner with this injury situation, or are we still in a wait and see and a holding pattern here? Because I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I go on Twitter, I hold my breath that I don't see anything, or if I watch a highlight that I don't see anything, because it's getting to the point now where it's in the back of my mind like all the time. And a lot of Niners fans have gotten to that point too, where they're like, you got to be kidding me, even if it's like, COVID exemplist or something. So,
everybody's got a different philosophy on this, right? Some people are like, fire the staff, right? Fire the doctors, fire the medical staff, fire the training staff. All right, they did that. Right, they did that a couple years ago, and then they were last year. They were like far and away the most injured team in pro football. So I am a personnel guy, right? So I really believe that the answers all reside in the personnel evaluation and in the decisions that you make in the draft and in putting together your roster. The one thing that I noticed that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan did this year is they drafted only guys who basically had almost a perfect record of never missing time in college. When you prioritize health in the draft, I think that can only help your football team stay healthy. I just don't. There's no secret. It's a rough game. It's a rough game, and guys get hurt. It's a 100% injury game, but you're going to help yourself an awful lot if you draft guys who played every week in college, who weren't hurt. Now, can a guy who played every week in college come to the NFL and get hurt and never? Sure, it can happen, but it's just about playing the odds. So I think they did the bet. I think they did this year what they should do going forward, which is draft only guys who played. Don't draft. You're not going to fool everybody. I'm going to take the guy who had the ACL and never played it down, and I know that he can do that. No. Take the guys who play on Saturday and succeed on Saturday. Take them with the reasonable expectation that they will play and succeed on Sunday. So I think they're doing the right thing now. They're drafting guys with healthy bodies who played who didn't miss time in college, and they're going to hope that trend continues in the pros. And I think that's the only reasonable and sensible decision that you can make. Everything else is just a crapshoot. You don't know.
It is.
You just don't know. But the one thing is, everybody's got a different pain threshold, a different pain tolerance. Well, if a guy played every year in every game in college, was he never dinged up? Was he never hurt? No, he was. He just played through it. He's got a pain tolerance. Guys who are hurt a lot, miss a lot of games, they typically have a lower pain tolerance. So just draft the guys who played the games and produced in those games, and then roll the dice and see how it shakes out. And I think they did that this year. I think it was the right move, and we'll see how it works.
Yeah, they definitely talked about it after the draft that they had kind of took a different approach this year, and I was very happy to hear that. I was almost as happy to hear, about the moves they made in the quarterback room this year, kind of turning that thing over. Only second to the the injury talk, and it just sucks because a lot of their best players have an issue with getting dinged and missing time, and it sucks because it's like this team at full strength. In my eyes, they might not be Tampa Bay Buck level, but they're right underneath them. So it's just a matter of we're going to reiterate this till we're blue in the face. It's just a matter of staying healthy, and if you stay healthy and you play consistently, you're going to be around in February. So hopefully that's the case this year. I hope I don't have to talk on my YouTube channel about the Niners having 19 guys on on IR like the last couple of years. It's after a while, people don't want to watch the videos because there's nothing to be talked about. So I appreciate you coming on, Larry. I know you have a busy life and a lot of time to do other things, so I appreciate it. It looks like you're a little bit under the weather, so hopefully you feel better.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a summer cold. I took the family to Disneyland a few days ago, and nice. I came back with a cold.
That sucks, especially this time of year.
I know.
But
it's hot and it's cold. I got the cold and I'm
right. I don't really get sick. I just have a lot of body ache issues because of my shoulder and my knees and stuff. So what I lose and what I make, I don't know if I'm lucky, but yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. I'll let you get on with your life. And I just got one question for you. How do I call into the Red and Gold Wrap this year and actually get through? Because I live on the East Coast and I've tried and it didn't work. And it didn't even go through the call. Is there a way an East Coaster can call and get in there?
You may have to go 415-808-KMBR.
Okay.
That's usually the way to get in. And and also look to see what station we're on. Some days we're on KGO. And if we're on KGO, then you've got to dial 80-80-810. So it's a different number for KGO. That might have been the problem.
Definitely. Yeah, I search for you guys after the games, especially when it's a rough loss and I know you're going to be fired up. I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for Larry to go in on these guys. I'm not even kidding you, man. Like, that's why I like you, because you're so freaking honest. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of homers sometimes in media and even in YouTubers who like are so gentle on the 49ers. And like, sometimes I want to hear somebody rip one, just go for it. So it's refreshing and it's nice.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I'm not, I'll say this. It's never personal, but there's also no free lunch. You know what I mean? I get evaluated, you get evaluated, they need to be evaluated. And I try not to pull any punches. I don't have anybody that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any guy on the team that I don't like. I've had people say to me, oh, you don't like Jimmy. It has nothing to do with Jimmy. It's that Jimmy didn't play well. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. And if that's negative, it's negative. It's just the way it is. But I do love the Niners. I do want to see them win the Super Bowl. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun this year.
I can't wait. Does Dennis Brown still doing the post game with you guys this year?
He is. All
right, cool. And John Lund as well, right?
Yep, the three of us. Good guys.
Man, I freaking love it. I can't wait. Again, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Try to have a good rest of your evening, and hopefully I'll talk to you again in the future at some point.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, boss. Have a good one.
Good night.